Om Namah Shivaya, World Raiser, Sabina and Roger here. Welcome to part 2 of the most important video for Shiva worshippers by Rava, explained by Rajarshi Nandy at the Ranveer Show.
Oh yeah, absolutely loved part number 1, and now I think it's going to get into the good stuff. So this will be the video to watch. But anyways, having a blast. These guys having an amazing conversation. Yeah. So let's get right into it. Part number 2. Hit the like button, subscribe. Here we go.
So like dogs can guard, Bhairava guards his upasakas very strongly. Very strongly. Only thing is that you cannot lie to him. He's a god of truth. He hates lies.
When you're saying you can't lie to him, I understand one, you're talking about the tantric rituals where if you've made promises, you got to follow them.
No, not that. Oh. I'm saying something more fundamental, which means that when you are worshipping Bhairava, make it a point to sit calmly and tell him everything. And tell him everything means even your flaws. मैंने नहीं ये कर पाया. I tried this. If you're honest, he will help you. If you're dishonest, he detects dishonesty in 1 second. You don't have to tell the world, but you have to tell him clearly and without pretense. And that is very important. Without pretense. He doesn't like pretense. So if you can, to the world, you can pretend to be, and that is the one thing which most people don't do. To the world, they pretend that I've seen that they are great devotees of bhaktas. Bhakta is devotee, great devotees of this God. इतना मैं भजन कर रहा हूँ, ये कर रहा हूँ, वो कर रहा हूँ, फोटो डाल के सब कुछ चल रहा है. And when they come in front of the deity, they pretend that they are great sadhaks. ठीक है, sadhak means one who is doing lot of practices and yoga कर रहा है, ये कर रहा है. Equation should be completely different. To the world, you become a sadhak. To the world, you do a sadhak. When you are sitting in front of your devata, you are just a devotee. And like a devotee, you speak to him. Not just ask, you tell him that this is what is going on. I'm not able to deal with it. I don't know what to do. These are my flaws. These are my weaknesses. I'm incapable beyond this. Help me out. Tell him, speak. And then one day the response will also start coming. Honesty is very important in Bhairava Upasana. And I personally, in this context, I have guided a lot of people into basic Bhairava sadhana in my life. Not complicated, basic ones.
Including me.
This is a lot of Bhairava sadhana. I believe that in the coming years and decades, it's very good to do Bhairava Upasana. A lot of the problems that we face as a country, as a civilization, is also due to the neglect of Bhairava Upasana at a certain level. Bhairava is the guardian of spaces. He is known as Kshetrapala. One of his names is. Kshetra means an area. He guards that area. Exactly like a dog is going to guard you if you have a friendship with a dog. Our country is a divine Kshetra. Whole country. So what have we actually seen? We have seen a partition, a very bloody partition of our land. What used to be at one point, part of it is gone, etc. So basically your borders have been rearranged. The Kshetra has been disturbed. A Kshetra can be disturbed when the Lord who guards the Kshetra has not been invoked properly.
Not been pleased?
Not been invoked and pleased, and whatever way you look at it. So, that's my way of looking at it. And even today, all the borders have problems, whether it's the Punjab side border or Kashmir or whatever, etc., have problems, etc. And this lack of Bhairava Upasana, by the way, started not just now. Many centuries ago, when there are various invasions happened and knowledge systems were lost. So today the conception of Bhairava for average people is that, koi gaon ka kuch devata hai, ye hai, wo hai, etc. Some dark energy. Nothing of that sort. He is the most spiritual one. If you allow Baba to rule your life, he's going to make you completely spiritual. Okay, and he will make you fearless, and he will take you beyond your own deficiencies and things like that. And I've seen, he responds very fast, by the way. Coming to the speed talking, there are, for the sake of completeness of Bhairav Tattva, so it's believed that there are, Rudrayamal Tantra mentions that there are 64 Bhairavas. Okay. And of these 64, 8 of them are very important. Ashta Bhairava.
You want to just name them?
Yeah. Asitanga Bhairava, Rudu Bhairava, Chanda Bhairava, Krodha Bhairava, Unmatta Bhairava, Kapala Bhairava, Bhishana Bhairava, Samhara Bhairava.
No Kala Bhairava, Bhairava.
इसके भी ऊपर. Realm. Okay. So, so as I said, we are never one. With one, there are many always. They are all Bhairavas. But each Bhairava himself divides himself into so many to do various functions. Okay. And these Ashtabhairavas have their own domains. By the way, Kashi has Ashtabhairava temples. I think Almora has Ashtabhairava. I had been to the Ashtabhairava temple last month in Almora. Visited there for certain sadhanas. Beyond the 8 Bhairavas, they are also guardians of certain directions and certain particular kinds of things. Okay. So, for example, Asitanga Bhairava, if somebody gets the blessing of that, he will have exceptional knowledge. Multiple fields. Exceptional knowledge. He'll stand out. His knowledge will stand out. Then there is, so Samhara Bhairava, for example, if there is a problem with respect to spirits or something negative, then he can be invoked. He will relieve that problem, etc. So beyond Ashtabhairava, there is Kala Bhairava.
Above.
Kala Bhairava is basically, we find the story of Kala Bhairava from the Shiva Purana. How does he emerge? First, through Shiva's anger. So there is, the story is there that Brahmaji and Vishnu, they are having a conversation, and this story appears in multiple Puranas with slight changes. More or less the gist of it is that they are having a conversation who is greater. Okay, then Shiva appears and Brahma says that, oh, you are to my you are younger than me and all that, because Brahma is the creator of everything, etc. That means automatically I am more powerful, and some disparaging statements he makes on Shiva. Shiva gets angry, and from his anger Kala Bhairava comes out. Kala Bhairava uses the nail, I think, left hand little finger nail, and he cuts off Brahma's one head. The moment he does that, Brahma comes back to his senses. He says, no, you are Ishvara. Mera aukat nahi hai. And that head of Brahma sticks in his hand. Achha, very interestingly, when the section of Kala Bhairava comes in actually, the Shiva Purana says that there is no difference between Shiva and Bhairava. It is the Maya of Shiva that makes you see that these two are different. So Bhairava is not a Shiva Gana. He is Shiva only. Only different look. For practical purposes, you may look at it this way, that Shiva is the calm one. When he becomes Aghora, when he becomes Rudra, when he becomes more aggressive, then he becomes Bhairava.
Which for an average human being would mean like a more hustler version.
Sort of.
Like a more active.
More active. And also there is a difference, another difference, which is not there in the Shastra. No, it's there. I mean, it's not spelled out in that way. Another thing is that Bhairava is more closer to our realm. Shiva is more transcendental. Okay. He is closer. That is why when you call Bhairava, he will respond faster. If certain parameters are set in an individual. Okay. So that judgment has to be made by either a mentor or a guru or something, basically. He will come much faster. Achha. Then what Bhairava does is that skull of Brahma sticks to his hand. So that is the first instance of Brahma Hatya. Brahma Hatya means killing of a Brahmin, which is considered to be a great sin. Okay. A genuine Brahmin, in olden days, they used to do a lot of sadhana. It's like killing a sadhak who is doing a lot of spiritual practice. If you kill a spiritual man, genuinely spiritual man, there is a huge amount of negative karma that is going to come. That is what is Brahma Hatya. When you are in those days specifically, when people of the Brahmin Varna were deeply engaged in practices and all those things. So
nothing related to the modern day caste system.
Let's not go into the controversial area there, but just to explain this, basically he kills Brahma, and that is Brahma is himself a Brahmin, by the way. Okay? He gives the Vedas. So that is known as Brahma Hatya. Killing of a Brahmin is a very great sin, and that skull sticks to his hand. Okay. Very interestingly, the text calls it the Brahmanda Khappar. So what is it actually? Brahma is the creator of the universe, and here is a god who has cut off the head of the creator and holds it in his hand. Okay. Brahma Kapal. It's like as if he is holding the skull of the universe in his hand. And in that condition, immediately there is a woman that gets generated. That is Brahma Hatya. Brahma Hatya is the activity of killing a Brahmin, and that too not just any Brahmin. Brahma, who is like who gives out the Vedas and things like that. That sin takes a human form and becomes a woman, known as Brahma Hatya, and he stands behind Kala Bhairava. Okay. Shiva then tells Kala Bhairava that you do one thing. You demonstrate to the world that if a spiritual man a Brahmin is killed, okay, how do I do penance for that? Okay. So he goes with that skull in hand. He performs what is called the Mahavrata. Vrata means like we do vrata, Hanuman ji ka vrat kar liya, ya kisi ka vrat kar liya, etc. Navratri ka vrat kar liya. This is a vrata, means a spiritual austerity. So Bhairava, with that skull in hand, he roams around different realms. He goes to the realm of Vishnu. Vishnu immediately recognizes, tells him that this is a play that you are doing. It's a Leela, because you are Shiva. You know it very well. Okay? You are doing this to demonstrate certain things to the world. And then that woman is behind him. That Brahmatya keeps walking behind him. That lady who is the sin. And that Brahmatya, Vishnu asks Brahmatya, why are you coming behind? And she says that this is my way of worshipping Shiva. Okay, I am just following what he has instructed me to do. Finally, he keeps walking. He comes to Varanasi. In Varanasi, at a particular place, that skull falls from his hand. And he settles down there, Kashi. Okay, and that place is known as Kapal Mochan, where the skull falls down, etc. Wow. And Shiva says that anybody who is in Varanasi is like the permanent residence of Kala Bhairava. Okay. He stays there, and he stays in other places also, but Varanasi is got a special connection to Baba. Okay. So, in the imitation of this, there is a Kapalika Vrata that used to happen. Even these days it's less, but used to happen. So, there's a Kapalika initiation in Aghora, Tantra Marg, etc., where the Guru will give a skull to that individual. And like Bhairava, he has to stay for 12 years roaming around, not staying in a house, not staying anywhere. That only possession is that skull, that human skull. He goes around and he eats in that, he begs in that, and he doesn't stay in society. So at night you have to basically stay, whether it's a cremation ground or a forest or a lonely area. Okay, and you will survive this only if you have the blessings of Bhairava. After the 12 years you are made, you are divine. So this was called the Mahavrata. This is Kala Bhairava. Kala Bhairava, we see the first thing that we see in Kala Bhairava is that, see, if you analyze this, if you contemplate on this story, you will find that he starts with cutting Brahma's head. So there is the mainstream of sadhana, spirituality, okay, that is going on constantly. Here is a deity who is completely heterodox, not orthodox, opposite of orthodox. He cuts off that the one who gives the Vedas, cuts off one of his head, and then he does something that is considered as defiling. Because normal spirituality, if you go to a cremation ground, you should take a bath and all that, there's a good reason for it. All that. Here is Baba who sits in the cremation ground, surrounded by everything that has been rejected by society. Whether it is dogs, wolves, jackals, spirits. He's known as Bhutesha, Bhutnatha, Lord of the Spirits. Okay. He consumes alcohol, something that is completely barred in normal upasana, etc. So Bhairava is like that. Shiva only, just a different form. Okay. And when speaking of Bhairava, there's another very important aspect that comes in, there's the Vatuka Bhairava. Without him, it's not complete. Vatuka Bhairava is worshipped more than Kala Bhairava. Kala Bhairava worship completely cannot be done at home. Vatuka, certain scriptures mention, Vatuka means a small child.
Like a Baal Shiva.
Yeah, 8-9-year-old child.
Baal Shiva!
What Shakti does is that Vatuka is like a son of Kali. It's like a son of Matara. Okay, like a son of Chinnamasta. These days. So there is a child form is created who is given all kinds of powers in him. Okay. And he is tasked with the job of protecting the upasaka from every kind of trouble in the world, whether it is physical trouble, whether it is some kind of spirit, whether it's some other thing, etc., etc. Instead of trying to placate 100 different things, you just worship Vatuka and he will take care of it. And of the Bhairava, different forms of Bhairava Baba, Vatuka is the fastest of all. He responds very fast. With one catch, he's a child. Remember that. So you need some emotional connection.
Love.
Some degree of love, some degree of communication has to be there. If you ask to give a simple example, if you have whatever, some obstacle, something is going on. So you worship Vatuka and you say that, Baba, can you help me out in this? Be very open. You are free to ask anything of the gods. Okay. So you ask him and he helps you out, suppose. Make sure that the next day at least you sit and tell him thank you.
If you say his mantra once, is that a good enough thank you? And if you feel a thank you and say a thank you?
It's up to you what you want to do, what comes from within. It's not for me to tell.
Okay.
I do Vishesh Pujas on specific tithis for him, and if needed, if there is some help that comes from him and I have asked for help, minimum to minimum next day morning I'll do 10 times his mantra. Okay, and just tell him that thank you very much that for helping me. Some days if I feel like it, I order specific foods that he like. Lot of them. Just like inviting a guest to the house. 3-4 different dishes and all that, and say it's all for yours.
Okay.
I love it.
Low level conversation.
Yeah.
Why did you ask me to do the Batuk Bhairav?
Oh, that is because that will be useful for you. In coming times you'll see. And also, generally if I advise people into Bhairava sadhana, there is a certain Nama mantra of Bhairava, very simple. Om Bhairavaya Namah, which just about anybody can do. I've in fact made certain videos of it also in my YouTube channel. So that is the starting point of Bhairava. And Vatuka Bhairava is easy to worship for a Grihastha. Grihastha means somebody who is staying in society, a normal person. Okay. Though the full realm of Bhairava Upasana cannot be done at home, but even if you succeed to 30 to 40%, that is good enough to make you spiritually powerful, as well as take care of your various material aspects. And this thing with Bhairava is if you develop trust on him, you will see that if in your life there's certain changes, both positive and negative, if something happens, then it is perhaps because at a later stage, a bigger problem was supposed to come. He is going to right away do the operation and, take you out of that.
The breakup.
I'm just saying.
Like I did it and the breakup happened in 2 weeks. Like it was great relationship, just flipped.
Oh boy.
I'll not comment much on that, but yeah.
It might have been worse down the road.
Nice.
Because I'm seeing what's happening in my life post the breakup also.
He's wonderful. In last 20-30 years in India, 2 deity upasana has increased tremendously. One is Vatuk Bhairava and one is Ma Baglamukhi. That's for another reason.
Never heard
reason.
either.
Okay. Well, that's going to be in the Mata podcast that we will do.
Oh wow. So we started our day with watching 2 videos on Lord Shiva, like a general depiction, which was not good enough to make public. And I thought this would be also a bit more general, but no, this is a very specific, basically about Bhairava, yeah. So it was not easy to follow for me at all, but I still somehow really enjoyed listening to him.
Yeah, it was really good. So let's remember the title of the video. Most important video for Shiva worshippers.
Yeah.
So why would that be the title, and why would they want to get that across? And I think, so the crux of it is devotion and surrender and worship, right? To your specific deity in particular. That's why they're even addressing that there's many different depictions and forms of Lord Shiva. I think the big number that he said, like of Bhairava in particular, there was like 68 or something. He said, correct me if I'm wrong, but then went through the 8 principal ones. And of course, Kala Bhairava is the most dominant one, and then talking about him being Shiva. It's not a separate deity. It actually is Shiva in a more, wrathful, personified sort of form that is more accessible, to the earth plane of existence, right? So very, very important to understand that these deities and these energies are accessible to devotees, and they'll help you. They'll help you purify your ego, your negative karma, your sin, but you got to go through with the correct frame of mind, is what he's talking about here as well. It's like, and with the point of, you got to be truthful, right? So it's very important. So when we're talking about connecting to the divine, you got to ask for help. You got to say your faults and be totally honest. And I love how he touched on some people get in the mode of like pretending right? To be these incredible devotees, like when you're out in public and you're going to the temples, and to put on this show of being this devotee, when really in your, behind closed doors, like, what are you doing? What are you doing that's spiritual? Are you working on ascending, to, let's say, from grade 9 to grade 10, like in reality, or are you just putting on a show of spirituality, right? So then we're talking about the practices and the mantras and how important it is to have a daily practice in your life, right? So for Shiva worshippers, why it's the most important video, it's all about what are you doing, right? What are you doing to practice, right? How are you incorporating your practice in your daily lives? And then even talking about the benefits that could happen as a result of that. So you're surrendering yourself, which is none other than your mode of material existence identified with this form. So your ego, full of its own habitual tendencies and delusions and programming and identity, right? We think that we are these material beings and that's what's operating, but in reality, that's Maya, right? That's the illusion. This is this play, and this is a being that's participating in it, but who are you in reality, right? So then you're slowly trying to seek to transcend Maya. So then talking about what can happen, even in Ranveer's life with the breakup that he mentioned at the end there, that it could happen very suddenly, went from good, 2 weeks later done. But that's what he's talking about when you get into this devotion and this worship. It's like things are going to manifest that may appear, negative at the time that they're going through. But that's why I was touching on. I'm like, okay, well, what would have happened if Ranveer didn't get into his practice and didn't have the breakup at that time? They could have been together for, who knows, 5-10 years down the road and then had a breakup, which could have been much worse in the sense that Ranveer's still progressing as a content creator and all of his other dreams and aspirations, and he's getting really big. Who knows? She could have been devastating, whereas here he seemed like he was able to handle it and then come out on top, instead of perhaps something way worse would have happened, like she took half or whatever, or took his YouTube channel, or who knows what would have happened. But anyways, you got to be open to the unfoldment, right? So when you start to purify, there's going to be negative karma that is going to be, manifesting, that needs to be purified, right? Because we've all done negative things. That's a core truth in all spiritual traditions, is that there's this error, right? There's this, it's called sin, or just negative karma, where you've done things, in the past that have affected others in negative ways, and then that's going to come back. So you just own it, and then you're like, okay. And then you purify it from a higher point of view, and then it becomes better.
Yeah. But it's not, a negative action is not when it affects another person negatively, because even a good action can do that. It's our intention that creates the negative karma.
Yeah, so it all depends on your intention, your frame of mind, and what are you trying to do and bring in. And also, if you can even perform like a good action towards something, but you're holding on to like a negativity in mind, like you hate that person and you're just doing it for spite or for show, then that can still create sin or negative karma. So ultimately what we're trying to do on the journey is get into these higher states of like acceptance, compassion, love, and not just from a contrived sense of controlling our thoughts and emotions, but no, you're actually raising up your mode of material nature so that it's just an automatic process of your level of consciousness that is really the source of all your actions and behaviors. So you're vibrating at a higher level spiritually, right? And then from that, then you're accessing, you have a better chance. And that's why he's talking about detachment and non-attachment so much in this video, because you're surrendering. You're knowing that, hey, this is like a dream. This is an illusion. This is Maya. This is like a water bubble. It appears real, but it doesn't have any substance or existence in reality. What is real is the very capacity to experience anything, right? So your consciousness and awareness, which is why you're getting into seeking higher levels of consciousness. And of course, the deities are the best way to do that, because these beings are there. So you're focusing on them to bring in that energy into your reality, your beingness. Understanding that you're substanceless without the truth, which is the higher reality, right? Your spirit, your soul is not just like a lot of people say that, oh, I have a spirit or I have a soul. Well, no, you don't have that. You are that.
Are that.
Right? So it's the ego that wants to claim that ownership over things, like this is my body and this is my mind and these are my thoughts and, well,
my achievements.
Yeah. So anyways, we're letting go.
Yes.
Surrender. But anyways, great talk. Yeah, I love this guy.
Yeah, me too.
It's very good. It's
We're
entertaining.
going to watch another one soon.
Let's do it.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, guys. So let us know what you think down in the comment section. Is anybody practicing, and is anybody a devotee of Lord Shiva in whatever form or manifestation, whatever deity? Yeah. Let us know or not. And practice. Anybody attending Mahashivratri?
Yeah.
And let us know where and by whom, because I know that there's a bunch of different teachers that are putting on their own celebrations.
Yes.
We know of a few, so let us know.
Mahashivratri, Roger will be working because he's going to go back to work because we didn't make it to India.
Kala Bhairava said no.
But we hope that you have the merit, and we know that Aman has the merit to go to Isha Yoga Center.
Yeah, he's going to be
Celebrate
there.
with Sadhguru.
Send us pics.
Yes. Wow. We rejoice so much.
Awesome.
Anybody else going to Sadhguru? Let us know.
Let us
Other
know.
than that, may Lord Shiva bless you all. Peace.
Peace.